Welcome back to the Old Colony Cast, a podcast about all things Plymouth and surrounding areas. I am your host, Andy. I am joined today by... We're going to start with Fish today. Fish, the Supreme Chancellor of Editors.
Supreme Chancellor.
Supreme Chancellor. How are we doing today, Chancellor?
Well, like Palpatine?
Sure. I was just going to say that.
I don't even have a hood to pull over my head. That's not okay.
You didn't have to say that. This is audio. They could have believed that you did.
I don't sound like I have a hoodie on.
Stop force choking me.
Just going to force mute your mic.
Yeah.
And that other voice is Hanna.
Hello.
I don't have anything to lead into today, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any updates or anything. So what are we talking about today, Hanna?
We're going to talk about Napster.
I've heard of Napster.
You have? Good.
Yes.
Where do I start?
I don't know. It's kind of like, did she want more for me to say?
No. So I know, obviously...
Let me ask real quick.
Yeah,
have you ever used Napster, or was that before your time?
It's a technical answer
Okay.
for an easy question. I personally have never used Napster, but I had friends who used Napster.
Okay.
I didn't own a computer. We didn't have a computer at my house.
Okay.
So, I mean, we did, but like...
It wasn't capable of running Napster. I got it. Yeah.
It was paint at best.
Okay. All right.
And then, like, we didn't use it because there was nothing to do on the computer. So,
Okay. That makes sense.
yeah. And then that computer got thrown away. And then we never had a computer until I was, like, in high school or something.
Okay.
Which I still didn't have internet for.
Wow.
So I used it just to play The Sims.
The Sims.
Yeah. Anyway, besides that. I can see why you would think it was maybe not my time to use it because June 1st, 1999 is when it launched.
Yeah.
So I was pretty young. It was founded by Sean
Fanning.
Fanning.
I don't think there's an L in it.
No?
I think it's Fanning. Yeah.
Because I wrote Fanning right.
Yeah. It's Fanning.
Two sentences later.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then Sean Parker. So the two Seans. Sean Parker is the one that I think probably considered a little bit more well-known now because he's the one who invested in Facebook.
In Facebook, yeah.
Yes.
And played by
Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake, yeah.
Yes. Justin Albert Timberlake.
Justin Albert?
Oh, I don't know his middle name.
Like, we've seen... never mind.
He's from Connecticut, and him and Sean Fanning met when they were about like 15 years old, online.
Yeah.
I guess.
And Sean Fanning's from Rockland, I believe, right?
He's from Brockton.
Okay.
And they ended up going to Northeastern University together, so they kind of reconnected there. Sean Fanning from Brockton later attended Harwich High School.
Okay.
In high school, his nickname was Nappy because of the texture of his hair.
Yeah.
So Nappy.
That's where the Napster came from.
Yes, correct.
But if you watch The Italian Job...
Yes.
So in Seth Green plays a character in The Italian Job, and Sean Fanning actually has a cameo in it.
I know. Yeah, I read all about this. I'm so happy you're talking about it.
So Seth Green's character is a tech guy, and he swears that Sean Fanning stole Napster from him and named it Napster because he was napping when he stole it.
Oh.
It's not true, but it's...
No.
It's Seth Green, so it's a really funny story.
I did read that. I never saw The Italian Job.
It's fun.
They all drive...
Mini Coopers?
Mini Coops, like you, right?
I don't anymore.
Not anymore?
No. My Mini Cooper is in, upstate, playing on a farm with other Mini Coopers.
Oh, okay, cool. So Sean Fanning was the actual, developer for the program. So between the two of them, Parker and Fanning, Parker was more of like the investment side of it, and he created or raised the $50K starter fund for it. And Fanning was just like strictly programming and developing. When Fanning was young, he worked at his uncle's company out of Hull, Mass. And it was chess.net.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is just like the chess game.
I guess, yeah. It's weird.
Let's look it up. Can we still play chess on there?
Is chess.net?
Oh, that'd be funny if it was just a play on
Yeah, chess.net is the best place to play chess online.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's his uncle's company. So I think...
Not a sponsor.
No, I think he either grew an interest from programming or learned it from there, but it definitely, something he got more skill in. And it's actually where the earliest offices of Napster was located.
Oh, okay.
So when they developed it in, college, they set up their servers there. And his uncle was actually responsible for, majority of the operations while it was there. And then Sean was only around for 30% of it, right? And he ended up dropping out of Northeastern because Napster took over so much of his life.
Yeah. It was huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, you guys ever been to Northeastern?
No.
Yes.
I don't think so.
No? Yes?
Yeah, I've been.
There's a really lovely, cobblestone wide walkway there.
Okay.
And back in the day, probably around this time, when MapQuest was the only way to get around, me and my dad had to get to somewhere in the city. And he had a really small Toyota. And it said, go down this road. So we did. And we, kind of drove, through
Northeastern?
dumpsters.
Okay.
And then that led us out onto the Northeastern, walkways
Okay.
of the buildings, the main brick and cement buildings, and people were walking and looking at us, and there was snow everywhere. So we went to try and leave, but it wasn't anywhere that you were supposed to drive onto. So we were plowed in pretty much. We were just trying to get out of there as fast as possible
before anyone of authority notices.
But also not fast because you don't want to speed through a pedestrian area. And we ended up sneaking out, I think, back through the alley we came out of. It was so bizarre. Weird campus.
MapQuest.
Yeah. Maybe Sean was there.
Maybe.
Working on his
He dodged out of the way of your car.
Yeah. It was around that
True
time.
story.
Yeah. Tell me it didn't happen. So Napster was unlike any other website at the time. Truly. There were others similar.
It was more like an app, if my memory serves.
It kind of was. So the way it was set up was just very user-friendly, and it was for sharing MP3s. So there wasn't really a website out there like that.
No.
And it gave you access to virtually anything you wanted to listen to, which is
it was unreal.
Yeah.
Kind of, I would say it was. So Netflix was probably in this, I'm going back to when Netflix
just sent
you
DVDs. They still can.
Yeah, but that was the beginning of the downfall of video rental. I would say Napster was the beginning of the downfall of the CD purchasing, brick and mortar stores. Because before Napster, you would go somewhere and buy music, and then you're just
I could just
get
listen
so
to
much
it.
more for free.
Yeah. Yeah. They obviously couldn't last long with that model for many reasons, but the program was one of the earliest peer-to-peer, which new for me. So it's pretty much accessing files because someone's sharing them from their computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
So basically you had a file on your computer, and you put you put whatever you wanted into those files, and then when someone searched anywhere, it would search through all these files on people's computer and be like, oh, Hanna has
this one.
Justin Timberlake's new song, and they could download it off of your computer, basically.
Right.
And I'm sure I'm way oversimplifying that, but
that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't 100% peer-to-peer, though. Although it did use that technology, it wasn't 100%. They still use servers to keep a log and file all the information that was shared.
Yeah.
It's considered one of the fastest growing or the fastest growing business ever.
Okay.
Because it took off within months.
Yeah.
And then had an immediate it's the downfall of Rome or whatever.
It lasted maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So colleges had to block or ban its use because it took up 60% of their broadband space from their internet.
Yeah.
So they literally couldn't use it in college campuses. And when it first got off the ground, they, like I said, used his uncle's location, but I believe I was reading somewhere and I couldn't find it ever again, but I believe they ended up moving over to California.
Okay.
For like office space and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, where all the cool guys are going.
Right. And that's probably true.
Yeah. So
I actually heard it was because Sean Fanning almost got run over by a ar on North.
Oh, he couldn't.
He's like, I can't take this anymore.
I hate the snow.
I'm moving to California.
Yeah.
It's all facts.
And internet speeds, if you remember around that time, like
weren't great,
but they did start like drastically improving around that time. So all things combined, like led Napster to just be a hit. Like who wouldn't like that?
Because I think this was right around the time that we were switching over from like dial up.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Remember when the internet was on CDs?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Don't understand it, but that's how we used it. Of course, the legal troubles came pretty quickly because he had zero permissions to do any of this.
Yeah, it is basically every FBI warning in front of a movie on DVD this was pretty much doing exactly what that said not to.
Right. Do not pull this tag off the mattress.
Yeah, exactly.
In December
do not pull this tag off Metallica.
Yeah. December 1999, Recording Industry Associations of America filed a lawsuit for copyright infringement. And then not too long after, Fanning was featured on Time magazine. I don't know if you remember the cover, but he had like big headphones on.
I don't remember.
He kind of looked like Fish right now, just like that.
Okay.
Picture it.
No, I'm picturing it.
Okay.
I'm picturing Fish on Time.
April 2000, not long after his Time magazine cover, Metallica sued for copyright infringement.
And that's really when it became big news.
Huge.
Yeah.
It blew it up.
Yeah.
And there were some specific actions after that made it even more like dramatic in the.
Does one involve MTV?
Yes, I'll get to that.
I recall this.
So the band heard their song "I Disappear" playing on the radio before they had officially released it. So they were like,
"Oh, okay, that I didn't know.
What the hell is happening?" And it's because it got released on Napster first. Yeah. But I'm like, "But who got your song?"
Someone leaked it.
Yeah, someone leaked it. Yeah. Right. There's another issue going on in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those. It's like Napster may have allowed that to happen.
Yeah, there's a hole in their pool lining somewhere. You got to figure that out.
Yeah,
get some I don't know, questioning going on because obviously, Sean Fanning didn't go and like steal it.
Right, someone uploaded it.
Yeah,
or not uploaded it, shared it, whatever.
So. Fanning was a presenter at the music awards right after this. Yeah.
So, and he wore a Metallica shirt.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let's have this. And I do remember this, but I had no idea who that guy was. And
really?
And I've never liked Metallica. Yeah. So I literally was like, ugh, what's going on?
I did enjoy Metallica back in the day. Of
course, as so many people do.
And but I do remember that. And even then I was like, wow, I feel like you're poking the bear.
Yeah. But I remember MTV, as they always do, played off like the drama of it because as soon as he walked out, he had a Metallica shirt and he walked out to "For Whom the Bell Tolls."
Oh, okay, that I don't remember. I remember him wearing
so he walked
shirt,
out to a Metallica song, and then they show him walking out, and then they immediately pan to Metallica to get their reaction. Yeah, they turned it into like their reality TV.
Yeah, that was the dawning of reality TV every time too.
For sure.
Yeah, so.
And so that was a big deal, and that press only made it more popular. Yeah. Like it skyrocketed it.
Yeah.
People couldn't get enough of Napster. Next in line was Dr. Dre and lawsuits, and he specifically sent them a formal like cease and assist to take his music off of there, and they didn't, so he sued them. So he actually was like, hey, can you not?
Their argument always was kind of, we don't have your music on the platform. People are sharing it. We're not sharing it.
Right.
So you need to go after those people.
They kind of, the fact that they kept those servers, though, is kind of what messed them up.
I know, but that was kind of their argument.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we didn't put it on,
for sure. Yeah. I didn't put it up. Someone else did.
And I think there was a bit of a trend, and I don't mean to jump ahead.
Don't worry about it.
Where they did start to go after people that I mean, some people always take it to an extreme and share like.
So they tried, yeah.
And so they started trying to go after people who were sharing.
Right.
Yeah.
They tried. And we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Several other record labels would follow in with a lawsuit. All the lawsuits actually, like I said, boosted like the use of Napster.
Yeah.
One of the things they were suing them for was directly violating the plaintiff's copyrights, and then two others where Napster was responsible for contributory and vicarious copyright infringements.
It's hard to argue that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Napster appealed, but was denied the appeal. And the court ordered Napster to track the activity in its networks to restrict access of infringement of other pieces of work. So track who is sharing to see they could actually like get a singular person in trouble or whatever.
Yeah.
And Napster could not totally comply, so they ended up having to shut down on July 11th, 2001. But I remember when that was a big thing because everyone I knew that listened to Napster was scared just by listening they were going to be involved in the lawsuit, which was not what was going on. It was they were trying to track who was...
And that's
like actually sharing files.
Also around the time where, you would start to like misspell bands' names because like you couldn't find it if you typed in, Jimi Hendrix the correct way, but if you misspelled, you spelled Jimmy J-I-M-Y.
Is that real?
Oh yeah, like you'd start to use, like the dollar sign as S's, and so like people were always trying to work around whatever they could, and
I guess that's why like I feel like when LimeWire happened,
LimeWire is kind of like
afterwards.
After that,
yeah. But I noticed stuff like that on LimeWire too, and I didn't have LimeWire, but I had friends that used it. So like I remember looking at like their music lists or whatever, and
it was all weird names. And wrong, just
wrong.
Flat out wrong.
Yeah. My friend had Red Wine as Bob Marley. I was like, that's not Bob Marley.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
There's
been a few like that.
Who was it? UV Blue.
UB40.
I almost
UB40.
I almost said UV Blue.
Sure.
But I was like, that's not Bob Marley. And he's like, I don't know. LimeWire told me it was. I was like, I don't think any of this stuff is right.
But it was kind of like, I totally understand the bands and companies like trying to shut it down. But from a user standpoint, you got exposed to so much music that you wouldn't have.
Right. So you're leading right into my next point. There were some. Thank you. There were some bands that actually found it beneficial.
Yeah.
Radiohead, for example, had a new single, an album that was coming out, but it got like released early, got leaked.
Yeah.
And they got played on Napster beforehand, so the day it actually like aired, whatever the word is, dropped.
Yeah.
They
dropped.
Yeah. Sure. They're number one on the billboards. And that like literally never happened to them before, but it was because of how many people started listening to them through Napster and were able to like get a hold of their music.
Yeah.
So for people who are a little bit more like underground-y with, or for musicians and artists that were a little bit more lesser known, less popular, and less available, it actually some of them say it benefited them.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those, if you were the Metallica level band, you actually made money off of record sales, but Radiohead was much smaller at the time than they are now.
Yeah.
They wouldn't necessarily, they made their money from touring, not necessarily record sales. It was kind of like, I don't care if you get it for free.
Yeah.
If you get it for free, you're still likely to come, the more people who heard them was better for them.
Right. So September 24th, 2001, Napster agreed to pay copyright owners $26 million for unauthorized uses of the music and another $10 million for future copyright licensing royalties. So they attempted to switch it to a subscription. So
I vaguely remember that.
It's kind of like similar to Spotify now, right?
Yeah, kind of.
So to just try and foot that bill that they owed.
Right.
And they had issues getting, as you could imagine, getting licensing agreements.
Oh, I'm sure. And it's also one of those, like, anytime you take something that was free and then try to start charging for it, you can put out something exactly the same called something different and charge for it, and people go to that because it's just the idea that, well, this was free yesterday.
Yeah, for sure. May 2002, Napster attempted to sell its assets to a German company for $85 million, but the sale was blocked by the court because they were filing for bankruptcy. So it was like, I don't know what exactly the stipulation was there, but they were like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So in September 2002, they liquidated all of its assets. The Napster name went up as, no longer a business. Yeah. And I believe it went, it became a thing again.
Yeah.
But not, right? It's like an actual thing again.
Napster is, air quote, back. It's Rhapsody. Basically one of the other streaming services that no one uses. But a couple years ago, they took the name, they started calling themselves Napster.
Yeah. Interesting.
And Napster, I think, has kind of the answer to our question from the last episode, which is, what is the symbol you put? And they have kind of a glowing cat.
They do have kind of a glowing cat with headphones.
Yeah.
Do we know what, because Sean Parker...
Sorry, I just need to make sure people know. What symbol do you put on radioactive waste containers? We said glowing cat.
That was suggested.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving forward. Just so people knew what we were talking about.
Go back to the last episode and listen. So we know kind of what happened to Sean Parker.
Yes. And
do we know what happened to Sean Fanning?
Honestly, not much different from Sean Parker. He continued to do different programming things, but also just invest in different things.
Yeah.
Along the same lines. I think he invested in another streaming type of service, but nothing real.
So he's in the same industry. He's just,
a little bit
more of a footnote.
Yeah, a little more low key. And I know Sean Parker, I wouldn't have known he was involved in Facebook if it wasn't for the movie The Social Network.
Oh yeah, I mean that was 100%. Even at the time, Sean Fanning was the face.
Was the face for sure? Yeah, I had no idea he was even involved in Napster.
Yeah.
So when I saw that character in that movie, I definitely thought that was the guy.
That's funny. So I did the same thing. I'm like, why'd they change his last name?
Right, and it's just because they were both Sean's. One is spelled Sean, one is spelled Shawn, though.
Oh, okay.
Just for, in case anyone's wondering.
Personal side, but I don't remember if I mentioned this.
You did.
Okay, so my ex-wife used to babysit Sean Fanning.
That's crazy.
And he had drawn her... I think it was when we were watching that MTV.
A glowing cat?
No. I think it was when we were watching that MTV thing. And she's like, oh, I used to babysit that kid. I'm like, get out. And she's like, yeah, he drew me a Winnie the Pooh. And I'm like, that's not real. And then literally she dug through whatever box and pulled out and had this, Sean Fanning.
Wow.
And I'm like, let's put this on eBay. And she's like, no.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so random.
It was very strange.
And where was she living at the time that happened?
She grew up between Rockland and Whitman. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the...
Oh, it's right there. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I think her family was friends with his family kind of thing.
Yeah. So. I will say when Napster happened, I would never have guessed that the guy who made it was my older brother's age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was a teenager, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's crazy.
He's a young dude.
Yeah.
So, because at that time, I'm not even sure if we were married yet. Mm-hmm. So, I was 20s. Something.
Yeah. He was very young when he created that. That's insane. And, like you said before, it obviously had a really, fast, paced increase.
Yeah. It was
And then it just fell. Yeah. Very quickly.
It went so fast.
Too close to the sun.
Yeah, exactly. It went so fast because it was kind of too good to be true.
Yeah.
All the music I want for nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was that's not legal.
That's what I think about Spotify, but I pay for it.
Yeah,
you
but
just don't get
still advertising.
Yeah, true.
It's if he had worked in some sort of advertising that would then allow him to pay the artist.
Yeah.
his problems would have been solved.
I know. I can barely remember what it looked like. I remember you searched and it gave you a whole list of everything. And then
there's like a whole list, and you would click on it to download, and then there'd be like a thing at the bottom that would show you the progress, because sometimes it would take hours.
Yeah.
Because you could download everything from like a song to like a full concert, and even some of the songs took forever. But the thing that I liked about it was you would get live performances on radio. You would get, stuff that you'd have trouble even knowing existed because it was on, some soundtrack for some movie that never went anywhere. And, Guns N' Roses happened to do it, and you'd be like, I didn't even know they did that song, kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely was the first stepping stone to what is now like limitless.
Oh yeah,
music knowledge. You know what I mean? Like acquiring, you can get whatever you want, whether it's on YouTube or a streaming service or whatever. Like you could literally find whatever you want for music.
Yeah, and it was really it was groundbreaking, even though it was kind of like a phoenix. It was very hot and then burnt out immediately.
Yeah, no, I really feel like what stands out to me the most is like my friends being genuinely concerned they were going to get sued.
Oh, I remember there was
but that was kind of like fourth graders.
Yeah, well, they're fourth graders.
Yeah, I'm like, oh no,
they don't really understand what being sued means.
No, it was crazy.
But yeah, I remember there was a lot of panic about that, and then people were like using LimeWire, and then after that there was like BitTorrents and all these like it's unfortunate that it'll kind of always be the kind of this jokey side.
Yeah.
But it really kind of was great. Groundbreaking.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
And set up what we have today.
What's the equivalent of that now? That Fire Stick, right?
Which one's a Fire Stick?
Oh, you can like get whatever movie you want. It's like playing in theaters.
Yeah. Okay, that's right.
But I don't know. I don't even understand how it works.
Yeah.
But you have to go online and get a torrent. Is that right?
Yeah, torrents are so basically.
Am I saying this right?
So the interesting thing, so torrent was kind of like it's Napster, but was kind of like
same idea.
Yeah, but it was kind of like this weird workaround. So like
because you're not downloading it, someone's just sharing it.
So yes and no. So like the Napster was like if you put up a song by Justin Albert Timberlake, I could search and be like, okay, and it would download from you to me, kind of thing. But with a torrent, and again, I'm sure I'm not being super accurate about this, it would like go to everyone that shared that Justin Albert Timberlake. I'm gonna call him Justin Albert Timberlake from the rest of my life now, and I don't know why.
Yeah. It's Randall.
Everyone that song.
That's kind of close.
And it would take like 2 seconds from this person, 2 seconds from that person, 2 seconds.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So no one person was sharing the file, kind of thing.
Yeah. Got it.
Which just makes it more ambiguous about who to sue.
Got it. It's Justin Randall Timberlake.
Randall Timberlake.
I feel like
pretty close.
Honestly.
The way you rolled it out, I'm like, I don't know why she knows his middle name and is so adamant, but
crazy.
Yeah.
Justin Randall.
I don't think he has any relation to Napster, though.
Not really, no. Him, not so much. Who he played, yes. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I got on Napster.
It's interesting there was no movie about him. Movie about the Facebook dude. No movie about Sean Fanning.
Yeah. I also keep wanting to say any Irish name that starts with an F. I'm like, Flanagan. Flaherty. Whatever.
Sean F.
Yeah, Sean F. Yeah, I know it is interesting.
Yeah.
I bet it would be probably fun.
It'd be, yeah. I mean, I feel like this guy
could be The Social Network again. I don't know.
Yeah.
So different, though. It'd be a very different ending. Because Zuckerberg is still kicking.
Like a bajillionaire.
He's, I don't even think he's real anymore.
You don't think he's real?
He's just a bot. A symbiote.
Great. Now that you said that, we're going to get like...
Allegedly.
Yeah, there you go. No, I was just thinking like this episode is going to like somehow disappear or get like...
Oh, yeah.
Ghost banned or whatever the hell they do.
Shadow banned.
Shadow banned. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. But, so that's Napster.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the part where we stop talking. And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. So thanks again for listening.